Hi everyone, I'm Carl, and in this video I will be doing an experiment. While I was working on my previous project, I discovered some interesting properties which PVA and ink have when mixed together. The effect really reminded me of ruins in damp places, so I thought it would be great for Lastrian temples in Warhammer, sterile environments in D&D, or Mordheim terrain, because that place is awful. Now, I have not seen this mix used anywhere else on the net, so I'm going to document it for posterity. First, I will show you how to replicate it, then give you my best guess as to what is happening, and finally go over a couple of issues that came up as I was testing it, and how to fix them. To begin with, I prepared a test piece. I have no plans for this one and just assembled this from leftovers from my previous project. I strongly suspect the mix only works on surfaces which do not absorb water, so foam is fine for this. Next, I gave it a white base coat, because this foam has a few reflective bits on it, which I did not want showing through, and painted a few tiles for accent. Then I mixed some white glue and ink. I used a Patex Classic white glue and Pebeo Colorex watercolor ink. This is not a sponsored video, but I do not know if this effect depends on the properties of these specific products, so I thought it was best to let you know, as different combinations may have different results. Unlike acrylic, this ink does not mix well with PVA and creates a bluish mix. When the mix had an even color, I sloshed it over the piece and left it to dry. And as the glue starts drying, the color will start to change, creating this shading effect. And here it is after a few hours, when it is completely dry. Again, all this took was a base coat and one coat of PVA and ink. I intentionally left the spool in the middle to see how it would look as a water effect, but you can't win them all. So, how does this work? We'll get to that in a moment, but first, if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. What follows are my best guesses on the subject. I'm not a chemist and I stand to be corrected. In fact, if you have any other thoughts on the subject, please leave a comment below. If you are not interested in the how, feel free to skip to the end of the video to see some glitches with the system and how to fix them. My guess is that mixing the glue with the PVA separates the yellow and blue components from the black ink. I'm fairly sure that the yellowish tint does not come from the glue, as it dries fairly clear. The end result also seems to turn out greener the more ink you add, which I do not imagine would be the case if the yellow came from the glue. To get a better idea of how this works, I took a sheet of paper and painted on a PVA and black acrylic mix as a test. This is already known to work in a certain way. Blackmagicraft and the terrain tutor have been using it for years. By doing this, I could check that my glue was not doing anything funny. Next, I painted on the PVA and the black ink mix. Again, this turned slightly translucent as it dried, but unlike the mix on the foam, it stayed a fairly even color. From this and the observation of the paint on the test piece, I think that the different components of the mix have different weights, and that gravity is needed to separate them. So you have to have a bit of texture for this to work. The paint on the paper was blue-green, but still much bluer than the paint on the test piece. Turning the sheet over, I noticed that the yellow component had seeped through the paper. Not so much where the brown acrylic had already saturated the paper, and a lot on the white. I think this means that the yellow component is thinner and probably lighter. This is the reason why I do not think this will work as well on an absorbent surface, like card for example. So, what does this mean? I suspect that while the glue is drying, the heavier components of the ink flow to the bottom, leaving their color in the recesses. The lighter components flow down to different levels, where they pool and mix together, and you get the different color variations. And now for the glitches. The most obvious are probably these blue spots that are left over even after several hours. My guess is that they are pools of ink trapped as the PVA dried. They had no place to run off. And the easiest fix is just to glue moss or flock over them. It goes well with this kind of overgrown look. The next glitch is that, as you may have noticed, it's very shiny. I don't mind it, but if it is a problem for you, you can easily mute it with a little matte sealer. You can probably avoid it altogether by using matte Mod Podge instead of PVA, but I have not tried that yet, so I cannot confirm it. Definitely use a test piece if you do this. And that's it for this video. I do hope you found this experiment interesting, and if you know anyone who would find it useful, please share this video with them. Thank you for watching and hope to see you soon.